Welcome back to the podcast, Jamie. Your third appearance on Shoulders
She's
Down. She's
back.
back, and she's our most downloaded episode, so she deserves to come back many times.
My 15 minutes of fame.
Yes. I'll say it up front. We're not going to go through Jamie's whole story with her relationship with food and body, but if you want to hear that, we did an episode a couple years ago now, maybe like 3 years ago. And it's titled Jamie's Story. It's about her journey with going on and off Ozempic. So I'll link that in the show notes. Um, okay, Jamie's one of my best friends in the whole world, and she recently got married, and I thought that it would be nice to do an episode on how she navigated her wedding as a person who is in a bigger body or plus size. And I also was just like really inspired watching Jamie on her wedding day and just like how she navigated everything. And when I asked Jamie if she wanted to do this, she was like, there's such a need because when you were doing research for your wedding, you were not finding as much maybe as you wanted to on the topic.
For sure. Yeah.
So, to start, can you share just a little about your background with your story? Like I said, for people who want to hear the whole thing, they'll click that episode, but just to like orient us to kind of how you arrived to your wedding day, what's just like a brief backstory?
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, your previous episode will give a lot more context, but I would say that I've struggled with body image and my relationship with food my whole life. I would say I couldn't really pinpoint the idea of having an issue with a relationship with food up until probably with until college, when I kind of had the language to describe that. Um, but I'm someone who has been very aware of the size of my body, how it compares to others, and just having a lot of weight fluctuations throughout my whole life. So, it's just something that's always on the forefront of my like experiences for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to hear you say like you didn't even realize it was a thing till college because it was just kind of like the water you were swimming in. Like it's normal to think about food or binge.
hmm
It's if that's all you know, then it's all you know.
Yeah, and I also think, I mean, not to get too in the weeds, but there's just like, I think the element of college was the first time I was just eating meals with other people on such a regular basis. So much of your life before is like, okay, there's lunch. Okay, there's, seeing a friend, and their parents, create a meal for you. But I think just watching people choose their own habits over and over again was just so interesting to me. And I was surrounded by a lot of people I feel who had a healthy relationship with food and then the other side. So it was just, yeah, the first time I was really exposed to um, something like that, for sure.
So true. It's like in life you really only see mostly how your family members live day to day, or
hmm
like you have a sleepover for one night or something, or you go to summer camp. But even still, obviously we met at summer camp. It's like very controlled. Like, what are they serving? You don't have free reign of a kitchen or the ability to make your own stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I kind of had a similar experience in that when I went to college, I saw B and Victoria, two of my best friends from college, and I was like, whoa, they're so normal with food. Like, I didn't even know that was possible. They just seemed to be like, what sounds good today? Not like, what am I allowed? What's the lowest calorie thing? And that was like earth-shattering to me.
Yeah, it's definitely like just it's like a ripping off a Band-Aid. Um, but it's so personal.
Yeah, it is. So to get into the wedding specific stuff, as I said up top, I really admire the way you navigated your wedding without trying to change your body. And obviously this wasn't always the case. Like you had your stint with trying Ozempic and doing Weight Watchers and diets, whatever. And again, listen to that episode if you want to hear all about that, because I think a lot of people might listen to this episode and be like, wow, like that sounds so peaceful. And how did she just arrive like that? Um, but I want to ask you first, did you anticipate that being a plus size bride would even be a thing that you had to navigate, or was that something you realized as you started going through the wedding planning process?
Um, a little bit of both. I think I didn't understand all of the nuances, but something that's so normal in the wedding planning process, even not being it, is obviously the wedding dress. So that was always something that was on the back of my mind. But nothing, I would say, really beyond that. It was more about the dress, for sure. So I think my experience of realizing that some things might be a little bit different for me, or not even different per se, but I just had to make some adjustments to accommodate my needs, was more so experiencing other people's weddings and like seeing things like, I don't think I would enjoy that, or um, hmm, that's not something I want to do,
Hmm.
or potentially I would need to adjust that. Where like right when I got married, I hadn't really been to any other weddings,
Right when you
except for
got
like family.
engaged.
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, right when I got engaged. I hadn't been to other weddings, except for like family weddings. So, um, I didn't have a lot to base things off of, as I mentioned earlier, besides the dress.
Yeah. Yeah, the dress is totally the obvious one of like that's such a body image focused moment. But what are some of these other things that as you were going to friends' weddings and going through the process yourself that you started realizing, okay, like I might make some adjustments or approach this differently because I want to feel as comfortable as possible in my body?
Yeah, I would say the first thing that was like super jarring to me, and probably something that more so than the dress created the most anxiety for me was the hora. And for those who aren't familiar, it's just a tr Jewish tradition, where there's a traditional song and you all hold hands and go in a circle and go to the music. But there's an element of the hora, which now has obviously, I think most people have seen it at non-Jewish weddings. It's just an element of the wedding culture.
Wait,
Um,
really? Non-Jews do this?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I never knew that.
sometimes.
Huh, okay.
Um, you go up, the bride and the groom, and sometimes other members of the family will go in a chair and they're lifted by their friends and family. And they're kind of like, yeah, bounced up and down in the chair. So that was something where, interestingly, for my wedding, a lot of the Jewish customs became very important to me. So there was just like a fear in the back of my head that I wouldn't be able to have that experience. And it's funny, I have had that experience before at my bat mitzvah, at my brother's bar mitzvahs, so it's not like I would have completely missed out on that, but there was an element of really wanting that at my wedding.
Mm,
Um, and I could get into how I, planned around that, but I would say that's one of the things that I really had to consider. Um, a second was just like being in nice shoes that aren't shoes I'm wearing every day, that I'm comfortable, that I've really broken in. So that was something I had to consider. I think you'll probably see this on TikTok, but like a lot of people now, and even in their bathroom baskets, spray lidocaine on your feet, which I did. It doesn't last very long, but I had several breaks where I would respray it.
yeah. And for people
Um,
who don't know, what is that?
it's a numbing spray, lidocaine.
Yeah, so
Lidocaine
it
spray.
helps with just like your ankles and your feet feeling sore from standing in heels all day.
Yeah, I actually think it's meant for like open wounds and sores, to like stop the burn, I think is actually what it's for. But that was, you're on your feet all day. And like something I honestly didn't even consider is like I was on my feet from, because you're starting with pictures, like 1 to 1 in the morning, 12 hours straight. I think I only sat for like speeches. So that was something I wasn't necessarily fully prepared for. And then another element that didn't cause me anxiety, but I immediately knew um, was a chuppah, which is also another element of a Jewish wedding ceremony. It's just a four-walled structure that the bride and groom and the officiant stand under when they're getting married. Um, I didn't want to feel huge under it compared to like, me, my now husband Dylan, and the rabbi, like being smushed
Hmm.
almost. And your family comes under it for one element of the ceremony. So I wanted an extra wide huppah and cost a little more money, but it was worth every penny.
Yeah.
So just so it felt like comfortable under there and I didn't have to, throughout the process of being married, really think about, is this angle cutting somebody else off? Do I have to be mindful of letting someone else have space here?
Hmm.
Um, I think we had like a 9 foot huppah, and the standard's like I think 6.
Mm.
So anyway, regardless, it was something that was important. Um, and then going back to the horror, sorry to get out of order, but yeah, I kind of had a spiral. I know you and I had once talked about this, like walking home from dinner somewhere sometime. It I went back and forth on if that's something that would be possible for me. And I remember actually talking to one of my other friends about it, and she was like, Jamie, think about all these big, bulky, strong Jewish men that they're throwing up there. Like they can definitely lift you in a chair, like
You were
it's
on Reddit,
possible.
like,
And so yeah. So she actually suggested like look it up. I'm sure it's out there. So I went on Reddit and they were like a lot of it was like hell yeah, it's this amount of pounds per leg and men are typically lifting that in a gym. And then that's what made me a lot more confident.
hmm
Um and then I went on like a recruitment period where like I went around my personal trainer who has become a dear friend was at my wedding and I was like who's not Jewish and I was like you're gonna hear this weird song and that means run to the center of the circle and look for a chair and get on a leg.
Yeah.
Um
And he's like shy, so you're like you had to really
yeah.
make sure he knew get on the dance floor.
Yeah, I think I mean I had a 2 year engagement and I think I prepped him for probably 9 months. Like and I mean my brothers are strong. I was laying down the law there.
hmm
I think Al I had let know. And then I even made like it clear to Dylan's friends. I was like, love you guys, go to Dylan's chair.
Yeah,
Like,
don't try
stay away
and
from me.
yeah, you scrawny
Um,
nerds.
yeah, exactly. Keep your distance. So I really like planned that out. And then like even just other little things like I knew I mean, they have like Hubba chairs that you could technically
Horror
rent. They
chairs.
were like horror chairs, excuse me, like outrageously expensive. And some, like if you get married at like a Jewish center, they do have them. I would have loved to have sides to hold on to. Um, but that wasn't possible. But my seats had cushions on it, and I knew that that would just, I don't have that core to like hold on to something moving.
hmm
So like they brought the chair over and I ripped off the cushion and threw it. Like I
Yeah.
was just like, I know. And that was also something I considered beforehand. So I really tried to think these things through.
Yeah. I loved how you handled this so much. And uh, it is not easy to go from, oh, I'm worried about them picking me up in the chair for the horror, to go from, okay, let me try and lose weight, to go towards, okay, my body's not the problem. Let me try and see what adjustments or accommodations, things I can do to make this experience go smoothly. And I want to ask you, and that's just one example, of course, like the extra wide hoopah, the foot spray to help. I think there's even more things, but all of these things to me really represent your amazing ability to be like, my body isn't the problem. I need to make adjustments instead of adjusting my body size, which we know isn't sustainable and is gonna lead to probably gaining back all the weight. How how did you get here? I know it's such a big question, but like for someone who's listening and they're like, I wish I could think like that, what would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say something I wish I knew earlier was like, I'm not unique in any way. Like, there's just so many people who are the size of me or larger that are dealing with the same thing. And I kind of wish I almost did a little more research. I ended up finding on YouTube this like she was literally had her wedding the weekend after mine. So like I felt like I was going along the experience with her, this girl Emma Arletta. And she was just really wonderful. She even like said something along the lines of like keep your hair up. Like, you're like, we're sweaty girls, like it's just going to be so annoying to have your hair down. I mean, just like little things that I felt um, were really helpful. Um, I forgot the
Yeah,
initial.
so seeking out examples so you know you're not alone, you're not unique, and like in the most loving way possible, you're not that special. Like other people who are the same size as you or larger have gotten married. It sounds like that was one thing that's helped you. What else?
Um, Going out of order here.
You know, this
Um,
is the second question.
Oh, okay.
What helped you instead of defaulting to I should change my body to make these things easier?
Oh. Um, yeah. Oh, okay. So something I think that and really helped me was the only option that seemed suitable for me was Ozempic. So it wasn't necessarily like, oh, am I going to go to the gym and burn 1 million calories and do this? Like that, the only thing that seemed attainable to me was going back on GLP-1s. And if you listen to one of my other episodes, I realized with my experience that it was only a temporary solution. Um, and there was just like, I think something clicked with me where it's like, I'm not willing to like starve myself for 2 years for 8 hours in a dress. Like, like I just was just like, this is me. I think also a big motto that I really stuck with throughout the experience was like, I want to feel like myself on my wedding day. Like, I'm not someone who's wearing a full beat of makeup every day. Like, I don't want a full beat of makeup. Like, I kept saying, I want to see my freckles, like, um,
Your nose ring.
I want my nose ring in. I wanted to feel like myself because I think not having that would have thrown me for a loop.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I wouldn't say it was easy. Like towards the very beginning, I was very overwhelmed with not only all the things to do, but like what do I need to do to make this experience feel good? Um, there's of course a lot of pressure, and I'm sure that a lot of other people in my life probably assumed, oh, this is going to be the thing that's going to get her to, lose weight. I can't speak for anyone, but I'm sure someone must have thought that. But um, yeah, I would say it wasn't easy. And it didn't immediately come to me that I'm going to do this. But I think throughout the process, I came to really wanting the day to feel like myself.
Hmm. Yeah, I love what you said of like, I'm not going to starve myself for 2 years to look a certain way for 8 hours.
Yeah,
That's so beautiful. And yeah, I appreciate you saying it wasn't easy. And, I can only imagine because I do this work for a living. Now I'm getting married and like I live in a straight size body and I even still feel the pressure. So I could really only imagine how like amplified that must have felt for you. Um, and what you were saying of like the only option that seemed feasible was a GLP-1, like you weren't gonna go to the gym and try and like burn all these calories and change your body. Also, like you go to the gym, like you have a
yeah,
trainer and like it's like yeah, like people do that and it doesn't change their body because exercising doesn't change your body as much as we've been led to believe. Like there's genetics and other factors.
exactly.
Um, so yeah, it sounds like the things that helped you most were staying grounded in I want to feel like me. I don't want to
Yeah,
feel like I like whether it's because my body changed so much or my makeup or I'm not wearing my nose ring or any of these things. I want to feel like me. I think that's really beautiful. And then it sounds like that plus seeking out examples of other people so that you were reminded that you truly were not alone.
exactly. Well said.
That's beautiful. Um, okay. So another thing, and I'm sorry I didn't prep you on this question, but it just came to me, like in terms of the list of the things that you handled, like, I'm just gonna make accommodations to do what I need to do. I'm not gonna change my body, like the HUPA, the HORA, the foot spray. Another thing that comes to mind is, excuse me, your feelings around your dress. So at first, you were so sure that you, I think, wanted sleeves or wanted your arms covered.
Mhm.
And you had this moment, I really remember it so clearly. Like you called me and you were like, I just decided I don't care. I just decided it's okay. My arms are going to show and it's okay. Like you thought about getting a little jacket made or a shawl or something. Can you talk us through why you had those feelings in the beginning about wanting to cover your arms and how it evolved?
Yeah. Um, so initially why I had wanted to cover my arms was because my arms were out in our engagement photos and seeing those photos was so hard for me. I was not prepared. I had just not had professional photos done in the body I was currently living in. And I was also just wearing like a shirt that was not very complimentary to um my arms. So it was really jarring and that experience happened as I was looking for dresses, so it was very top of mind. And I kind of made that decision in the moment of like, I can't have my arms show. Like seeing these photos is just like there's no other word besides jarring, honestly.
Mhm.
Um, is for to capture how I felt in the moment. So they say like, whatever you think you're going to end up in the dress is not the dress you end up in because
So
you
true.
just are not wearing these types of dresses, so you don't know how your body looks in a dress or how you feel in a dress. Um, and I kept trying on dresses, and then a lot of them didn't have sleeves, so they would have to custom add sleeves or they would have attachments and put it on. And I just didn't like it. And I did find a dress that I really loved, and um, even after getting the dress, there's always the option to like custom make sleeves to put on it. But I just really didn't like any of the options they showed me, and I just felt uncomfortable and hot, and it just wasn't what I wanted. And then I think there was just a switch that flipped in my head after honestly like a year of agonizing over these damn sleeves of just like who fucking cares? Like I think I'm marrying somebody I could have only ever dreamed of, and there was just a moment throughout the wedding planning process where I think in the beginning you're so inundated with all the things you have to do and everyone's advice, and it's like, oh my God, I have to do so much. And then halfway through, like you're just, at least in my experience, I was just like, who freaking cares? I just love this person so much. I just want to be with them forever and, have this like ceremony to, make that happen. But I think that was an element of it. And yeah, I think it was really just almost like grieving, like and
Mm,
agonizing for a little bit. And then one day I was just like, enough, make the decision.
yeah.
And yeah.
I love that you said that. Like you had to give yourself time and it wasn't just like a day or a week or a month. It was months of like you say, agonizing. You let yourself go through it. And I think that's a part of so much body image work that people miss is they just want to be like, my body is good and like slap a positive affirmation on it or like you rock those arms, girl. It doesn't matter how they look. And like that's not realistic. You had to be like, I'm freaking bummed. I wish that they didn't look like
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
And what actually matters here, I think that's such a theme in what you're sharing of like with the with how did you overcome feeling like you had to change your body? With that, it's like, okay, what actually matters here I want to feel like myself on this day. And then in this case, it's like what actually matters here. Yeah, it's a bummer. I don't like how my arms look in sleeveless stuff. And I get to marry someone who I love so much. And I like, this is what this day is about.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I just had to let myself be upset and confused for a little while, and then naturally my brain did its thing, I guess.
I love that, Jamie. I love that. And sort of a part two to that, um, is there anything that you learned from the engagement shoot that helped you better prepare yourself for all the photos that would be taken at the actual wedding?
Yes, it taught me that I would say a few things. One, seeing them could be very jarring, and how I see them immediately doesn't have to be how I fully feel about them. So I think I learned I have to look at them, see them as they are, what was captured, and then like I could take a minute and then I can go and really look at them. I think, you know, that's something it taught me more of like a coping sense.
So
Um,
true though, like just to
Mhm.
say, my clients, we do this exercise with picture grief where they show me a picture that they were really distressed by, and then they tell me how they felt in the moment, and then they tell me how they feel currently. So like the moment after it was taken versus in session, which is often like days or weeks after, it is almost always at least a little, at least half a decimal less distressing, I think, because there's so much expectation, especially when you get like an album of professional photos back, that you're like, I'm gonna be a supermodel in every one, and you're not. You're just not.
Yeah. And I think like to what you said, I about expectations, like I just after that had the lowest expectations for photos. Like truly. And so then honestly, I was so pleasantly surprised. Um, and something I also did, and maybe this was just the Jersey in me, but I got a spray tan and I think that changed everything.
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. I mean, I love that though. Like I've talked to other people about this. It's like you have body autonomy, you can do whatever you want, and it's just like one thing that is super non-invasive. It's not going to cause an
Mhm.
eating disorder. It doesn't mean you have to starve yourself for a year or two.
Temporary.
Yeah, and like if that makes you feel better, cool. Like cool. Like, I love that.
Yeah. So if there's something you can take away with this, get the spray tan because it made me feel amazing.
Yeah, and Brie Campos, who has also been on the podcast a bunch, she talks about this concept of like we don't have to do the sexy body image. You don't have to be like, I'll wear the bikini or I'll wear the dress as it is and I'll fully embrace my completely natural body. You're allowed to give yourself accommodations to meet yourself where you're at and be like, no, I would feel less distressed if I had a spray tan to kind of smooth out some of my skin that I'm self-conscious of or whatever. Or I would feel less distressed in the bikini example if I wore a one piece or I wore a cover up. Great. Like, do whatever you have to do. I just think about like the point of body image work is feeling comfortable enough that you don't have to think about your body so you can live your life. And whatever you need to do to get there, I mean, that's your choice. I think that spray tan's a great option of like a non-invasive, pretty harmless thing.
Yeah, exactly. It felt good, but definitely do practice rounds.
So lowering your expectations, maybe a spray tan,
Mhm.
anything else that helped with pictures.
Um, I think something that I found helpful was I asked to see like one or two halfway through, just so if there's something I wasn't aware of. I think for my engagement shoots, it's silly things. My necklace was on backwards, like, it was just the clasp in the front that like sucked. Um, or like if like my part is funny, I don't know, it's just like, yeah, these are important photos that will probably be on your wall or someone's wall one day. So, it felt good also to just have some reassurance throughout the process.
Totally. Um, okay. So let's see. Uh, is there anything that surprised you about how size is or isn't accommodated in the wedding industry?
Yes. I would say I was honestly surprised in that I feel like we've made a lot of progress. Obviously, I was not a bride in the early 2000s, but I was able to try on dresses at the stores I wanted to try on dresses. So if I didn't want to go to Kleinfeld's because spoiler alert, I hate New York City. I didn't want to go into New York City, but Kleinfeld's one of the most famous dress stores in the world. They do have, I did call and they do have options to try on, dresses in larger sizes. Um, Something that was important to me was not just to be able to order the dress in a larger size. I need to be able to try it on,
As you
um,
should. Yeah.
as I should. So, that was great. Obviously, um, there are some like limitations. I really did struggle for a Friday night dress. Like if I
You
wasn't
really
willing,
did.
I really freaking struggled. Like
Yeah.
Leo was really
No,
along
I
for the
feel
ride. It
like
was
I
honestly a nightmare.
yeah, I feel like that was like really honestly like helpful for me to see like because like you were asking people like help I want to find like a white pantsuit and people are like oh just go to this website and you're like they don't carry my size at that website like
Yeah.
it's not that easy.
Yeah. So like unless you were willing to invest over 2000 plus dollars, which, is a typical wedding dress, I'm not spending that for my Friday night. Um, I really freaking struggled. So
Yeah.
I ended up like piecemealing a pantsuit from Abercrombie and then the top from H&M, and I don't love the way it looked. It did the job. I didn't really care
Yeah.
at the end, but that was something that was harder. I think also probably being in the off season. I probably waited too long. And just like a night, like, listen, I could have gotten like a sundress flowy, but like a fancy white dress, my God, like that was months and months of work. Um,
Yeah. So it
so,
sounds like you were pleasantly surprised, and correct me if I'm hearing this wrong, but it sounds like you were pleasantly surprised with the wedding dress experience where you were
hmm
able to try on your size at
yeah,
multiple stores. But it was more difficult with like a less fancy dress for the Friday night was more difficult than you maybe anticipated.
yeah, 100% spot on.
Um, and then did you feel did you feel like anyone explicitly or subtly suggested weight loss to you in preparation for your wedding? You mentioned before, like you could imagine that people maybe thought that, but it wasn't something that they like overtly said.
Yeah, no. I honestly, to my surprise, actually had the complete opposite. I think I was trying on dresses in Anthropologie with my grandma, like one day just for fun, the two of us, like I wasn't even necessarily seriously looking. And I remember with the lady there, I was like, I love this dress, but it just, I was still on the arm thing. I want my arms covered, and it does seem a little, you know, um, like too much contact with the stomach. And she kind of just like looked at me and was just like, own it. And I was
Your
like,
grandma said that?
no, 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 no.
Oh.
The dress lady.
Oh.
Yeah. She was like, own it, be confident in it, you got it. Like something like that. It was the same dress lady you had at Anthro.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I was just like, you're right. Like I kind of needed to hear that, which was really nice. But honestly, I really feel like, and maybe this is a benefit of really being in a plus size body. Some people are probably scared to say anything. Like I'm not in that like medium mark where like it's assumed that everyone's just trying to lose 5 pounds to 10
Hmm.
pounds for their wedding.
Right.
Um, it's probably like a very obvious off limits
Right.
conversation,
Because even if you lost 5 or 10 pounds, you would still be plus size.
and I would look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's interesting. I don't know if you and I talked about this, but like I I was kind of like struck by the experience of wedding dress shopping in that, and I know we don't have the exact same experience.
Mhm.
I'm not like an American Apparel model, like flat without curves or anything like, but yeah, I'm also not, I don't go through the world living in a larger body, and I can't like fully speak to those things. But one thing that struck me was how, it's a freaking cat fight right here. Um, was how I think so often in women's clothing shopping, it's like the model is like stick thin, ironing board, no curves, and you're like, okay, well, I literally can't even imagine how that would look on me.
Mhm.
And in the wedding dress world, I'm sure there's still some of that, absolutely. But I don't know, I almost like it almost felt like a rare experience as a woman where like having more body to work with actually like suited the dresses better. And this is not to like shame people in the other way who are naturally thinner or less curvy, but I don't know, that was kind of like a refreshing thing, where it almost seemed like having like boobs and a butt and curves and like more like oomph to your body like actually complemented like the corsets and the way that the dresses were kind of like almost like Renaissance designs.
Yeah, I think that's very in right now too. But like a wedding dress looks great with a rack. Like just
Yeah,
can't deny it.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like kind of refreshing of like, wow, like for once, like it's maybe the
Yeah,
opposite.
that's so fair. But I also think that there's an element of it being kind of trendy, maybe.
Hmm.
Um,
What being
but
trendy?
to the style of dress right now.
Like the
And the style of
corset.
dress right now, yeah, it does very well with someone who's a little bustier and curvier.
That's interesting. So when it was all said and done, you look back, how did you feel in your body on your wedding day?
I honestly felt great. Like the biggest feeling that I had was in my feet. Like I said, I was on my feet all day. I sprayed my feet with lidocaine whenever I had a break, which was very minimally, but when I did, it was amazing. Um, but like I really felt good. It, I mean, this might sound so corny, but like the feeling that I had the whole day was just not about my body. All I could feel was just love from everyone who was there. Like the whole weekend, and Dylan and I just kept saying this to each other, like we just felt so much love, and that I think overshadows every other thing or hiccup or, insecurity or whatever. Um, we really felt so much love from all of the people in the room. So that is kind of what captures the essence. It almost makes me feel silly about how much I stress over how my arms are gonna look. A really big worry with my arms was specifically at the ceremony because of the way you face each other. And so everybody's angle would be looking directly at my arm and my
Mm.
side profile, which is where I tend to lean the most insecure. And just like in that moment, me standing on the side facing Dylan was just like the most special moment. And everyone was crying and like I was crying. And I think the last thing anybody was thinking about was how my fucking arms looked in the
It's
damn
so true.
dress.
Like there was not a dry eye in the house in that ceremony. It was so touching and deep and emotional, and you could like it was so palpable, like the feeling of love in that room. Like I really like am gonna make myself cry like thinking about it. And it's so true. Like I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that that's what you were most self-conscious about.
Mhm.
And it is just like it was totally the highlight of the whole weekend for me at least,
Yeah, I think whenever we ask anybody what was their favorite part, everyone says it's the ceremony.
which is like unheard of.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Um, that's so
that was
beautiful.
special.
And it's not silly. It's not silly. I mean, it's valid to feel silly, but it's not silly that you worried about it because this is the culture we live in. This is what all the TikToks and the videos are about and what like mainstream wedding culture makes us worry about. So you're not silly. We're trying to do what you had to do to feel safe in front of so many people and on such a special day. It's completely valid.
Yeah. There's also something that's interesting about weddings is that people are seeing you for the first time in a really long time, and how the last time a lot of people saw me, I likely looked pretty different.
Hmm.
So, and maybe that's not the same for everyone. I think it's also just an element of, post-pandemic, not a lot of travel, and I have a lot of elderly family members who can't necessarily travel so much that live on the other side of the country or in other
Yeah.
countries. So, that's just something that also I think was top of mind for me before the wedding. And then once you get there, all of those things go away.
Yeah. Yeah. And the work I would do with clients is like, that's such a common thing. Like, seeing someone for a family holiday, you only see them once a year. And like the fear is like, what if they think, oh my God, she looks so different? It's like really what's underneath that fear is often people's assumptions of like, she let herself go, she's lazy, she's this, she's that. And that's where we get to go, like, yeah, it freaking sucks that people would think that. And like, is that true? Are any of their thoughts true? Or
Exactly.
do my values align with this person's values? If they do think I let myself go, do they have any idea that I've been in therapy? I've been, deeply working on myself, I have amazing friendship, like whatever, all of the things that your body can't show. And you get to go like, is that a line for me? Like it still sucks that people might think that. And at the end of the day, people probably will think that no matter what.
Exactly. I'm sure there were people there who thought similar things, but like, think where I'm at is who fucking cares?
Yeah, I love it.
Like, yeah.
Okay, so the last piece here, if someone who is newly engaged and is feeling dread about their body because they're going into the wedding planning experience as a person who's plus size or in a larger body or fat, however they identify, what would you want them to hear?
I think one, that you can have the classic, normal, standard wedding experience if that's what you want. You just have to make it happen. There are just some little things that you might have to maneuver or walk through or adjust to make it that way. But like, you can have the big gown, you could have the huppah, you could have the chair experience for the hora. Like, you really can. Um, you just have to do a little bit of extra work. Um, I also think something I wish I almost thought about, but I did not, is don't do anything you haven't done before on your wedding
Mm.
day. I know they say this when you run a marathon or
Yeah,
a
they do.
race or
Yeah.
whatever, but just like I've never worn a freaking corset, and I got like a custom intense corset put in because I thought it would help me with my posture and like,
Oh, yeah.
look good and snatch me a little bit. But that ended up being not a nightmare, but it was tied when I during like the fittings it was fine, but when I was on my wedding day put in, it was tied way too tight where it made my boobs go really high. I looked like my boobs were eating my face. Like, it was just, if I sat down, I was
It was
being
only really
swallowed
a
by
problem
them.
when you sat down, like the straps came
Exactly.
up, which like so fair. Like how would you know that? Because you don't wear a corset day to day and you're not sitting
Exactly.
down. Like, yeah,
And I didn't know that how you tied it could have such an impact on the dress.
right.
Um, and it was tied so tight that I could there was so much adrenaline during the day. I didn't feel it during the day, but I took it off to like bloody welts, like it literally ripped skin.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not good.
so just doing that, like I just think, the wedding industry is so, they try to convince you of all these things you don't know and all of these hacks and all these things, but like you know yourself the best. And like you will feel the best when you feel like yourself. At least I think so. So yeah, like it's just something to think about. Like don't try new spandex or Spanx the day of your wedding if you don't know that they don't roll on you and
Yeah,
just those kinds of things.
I love that advice, Jamie. I think that's awesome. It's making me think about um sometimes when like you go to a social event or like for people who are dating, going on a date or something, and like if your friend's like, you want to borrow this shirt or something,
Mhm.
I had this experience with Maddie recently where like I was with her in Brooklyn. It's one of my friends. And I was like, oh, do you want to like I don't know. She was going oh no, she was going to meet her boyfriend's dad. And she was like, I don't know what to wear, whatever. And like I had my little suitcase of clothes because I was visiting and I was like, oh, do you want to wear this sweater? And she goes, I think I'm just in a moment where I need to wear something of mine because I need to feel like myself. Like this is a little bit of like a high stakes moment, meeting my partner's dad for the first time. And I just love that line. And it's just making me think about what you're sharing of like sometimes it's like the time to take a risk and like try a crazy outfit or like a new style of makeup or a corset when you know or whatever. But like on really important days, and maybe for some people they feel like taking a risk, it can create a sense of safety to just feel like you. Like there's enough that's going to be like feel really special and different on that day that if you can just try and help yourself feel safe by feeling like yourself, it seems like that's so much of what you're sharing of like how that could be so helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just think trying to find other people, like I said, you're not that unique. Other people are going through it. Like it felt really good to have, and I just learned a lot too, but it felt good to have somebody going on the experience with me, even though I did know them through, social media. But just learned a lot of things to consider. So that if you could find a person, I mean, I liked Emma Arletta, but I'm sure there's others out there.
I'll link her YouTube in the show notes. Yeah, even Reddit, YouTube,
Yeah.
Facebook groups, plus size,
Mhm.
anything like I, it can be so helpful to know you're not alone and that like you're not the first person who's had these exact questions or struggles.
Yeah. And like, not to go on a tangent, but just think, like I said, like we know ourselves, like advocate for ourselves. Like we don't have to go through this wedding experience in shame. Like I was very open with my photographer. I'm pretty insecure about my arms. So like, you know, just consider that when you're taking shots. Like obviously she's not like a magician. She can't make them disappear.
Hmm.
But it was just something to consider. Like I don't want a full side profile just myself. Like just have that in the back of your head.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely I when I struggle with anxiety, the more people that know, the better. Like I have to tell people like,
Yeah.
so you know I'm really anxious.
Yeah. You got to get off your chest.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. This is going to be so helpful for so many people, Jamie, truly. Like I think it is so refreshing to hear someone and this episode might be that for some people, like an example that look how it can be done. And beyond body size, honestly, like people can get so in the weeds with all the little details, and if that's you, that's fine. But I just love the overall message here of like what really matters. Like, how do you want to feel? Is this like something worth stressing yourself over? What really matters at the end of all of this is you and the person and your loved ones and the experience of getting to celebrate your love.
Yeah. I mean, it ended up being the best day ever. And it goes by just as fast as they say it does. Reflecting after it makes you realize how so unimportant so many of the stupid like napkin and the logo and the thing. At the end of the day, you want to feel good, you want your guests to feel good, and make sure you feed people enough. That's my motto.
I love that. Jamie's like queen of coming back from a wedding and being like, Leah. no food. I was starving.
Yeah. You're just like trapped, like these venues are in the middle of nowhere. You're
Yeah.
put on a bus an hour and a half before the ceremony starts because they want you there before the hotel's far away. And then, next thing you know, you haven't eaten all day and then you're being pounded with drinks.
Yep.
And like your cocktail hour can't just be a charcuterie board. I need protein.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Is there anything else you want to add to make this conversation feel complete?
I think I've said it all.
Amazing. Thank you, Jamie. We are so grateful. You're a friend of the pod at this point, and it's just been so beautiful and inspiring. I will highly encourage anyone listening, if you're new to the podcast or if you haven't heard Jamie's first episode, it is our most downloaded by thousands. So that has to say something about it, the way it resonates. And I think GLP-1s have only gotten more popular since we recorded that. So definitely go listen. And that's all for today. Jamie doesn't have anywhere for me to link to because she's my friend. But if you wanted me to pass along a sweet message, you can email me at leah@leahkernrd.com and I'll pass it along to her. And that's all. Thanks for listening.
Social media free.
She's social media free. She's just a YouTube girl. All right. Thanks, Jamie.
Bye, Lee.